The blizzard swallowed the city in white, but Marcus Callahan barely noticed, until he saw the small shape on the frozen steps ahead. A little girl, shivering in a thin pink coat, looked up the moment he passed, as if she'd been waiting for him. Snow clung to her braid. Her lips trembled. But her voice didn't. "Are you Marcus Callahan?" Marcus froze. No one should have known his route home. No child should be sitting alone in this storm. "My mom said you're the only one who can help us." Something in the way she said only one cut through the cold harder than the wind. His heartbeat slowed, heavy with a dread he couldn't name, and a responsibility he hadn't asked for. Why him? Why tonight? And what could be so desperate that a mother would send her daughter into a blizzard to find a stranger? What happens next will stay with you. If this moment already pulls you in, hit subscribe to Canada's Heartfelt Tales and don't miss what comes after. The girl's breath rose in small, shaky clouds as Marcus knelt in front of her. The blizzard roared down the street with a force that swallowed sound, but her eyes never wavered from his. The storm pressed against them like a living thing, urging him to walk away, to hurry home, to pretend this moment didn't exist. But the look on her face anchored him. "What do you mean your mom said I'm the only one who can help you?" he asked softly, steadying his voice. She hesitated, but only for a heartbeat. "She said people listen to you." She said, "You don't forget the people who helped you." Her mitten rubbed nervously at the snow on her coat. "And she said she didn't have anyone else." The words hit Marcus harder than he expected. He swallowed, pushing back the ache rising in his chest. "Let's get you inside before you freeze. Take me to her." Lily nodded, small fingers curling around his hand with a trust that startled him. They moved slowly against the wind. His coat wrapped around her tiny frame like a cocoon. Each step echoed the quiet dread inside him, because whatever forced a mother to send her child out into this storm could not be simple. The building she led him to stood hunched between two taller complexes, as if trying to survive a world that had forgotten it. Paint peeled from the brickwork. The entryway buzzed weakly when Lily pressed the button. No one answered. She pushed the door with her shoulder. Its hinges groaned, but it opened. The stairwell smelled faintly of damp carpet and disinfectant, like a place that had been cleaned just enough to keep it from falling apart. Lily climbed quickly, despite her shivering legs, as though worry pushed her upward. At the third floor, she knocked on a faded brown door. "Mama, it's me. I brought him." There was a beat of silence. Then the soft click of the lock. Amanda opened the door, one hand braced on the frame. Her face was pale, too pale, and her hair stuck to her temples from exhaustion. But when she saw Lily safe, her eyes warmed with relief before flickering to Marcus. Nervous, hopeful, afraid all at once. "Mr. Callahan, I'm sorry you had to come like this." "I'm sorry she was out in that weather," Marcus replied, stepping inside. "Are you all right? You look tired," she finished with a weak smile. "I know." The apartment was small but spotless, filled with signs of a life built on effort rather than ease. A few drawings hung crookedly on the wall. The heater rattled softly, fighting a losing battle against the cold creeping through thin windows. Lily tugged at her mother's sleeve. "He came, Mama. I told you he would." Amanda's shoulders loosened slightly. Not from comfort, but from a fragile mix of gratitude and desperation. "Please sit," she said. Marcus did. Lily climbed into her mother's lap, her head resting gently against Amanda's chest. He noticed the tremor in Amanda's hand as she stroked her daughter's braid. A tremor not born from cold, but from something far heavier. "I know you want answers," she said. "And you deserve them." Marcus leaned forward. "Amanda, what's going on?" She breathed in slowly, as if borrowing strength from the air. "I'm dying, Mr. Callahan." The room stilled. Even the rattling heater seemed to pause. Amanda continued, her voice steady in its fragility. "Stage 4. It's been a long fight, but the doctors say I don't have much time left. Months, maybe less." Marcus stared at her, unable to reconcile the woman before him with the assistant he once knew, Sharp-witted, organized, always steady under pressure. To see her like this felt wrong, unjust. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. Her smile tightened. "I've made my peace with it. But I can't make peace with what happens to Lily after." She looked down at her daughter. Lily held her mother's hand tightly, but there was no fear in her eyes. Only a quiet, practiced courage that no child should have to learn. "There's no family left," Amanda said. "No one who can take her in. If I don't arrange something, she'll go into the system. And she deserves better than that. She deserves stability. Home. Someone who sees her." Marcus felt something shift inside him. A slow, heavy turning of gears he didn't know were still capable of moving. "And you think I could be that person?" Amanda nodded. "You once told me people matter more than profit." "Believed you." "I still do." Her voice trembled, not from weakness, but from the weight of the hope she risked placing on him. "You don't have to say yes," she added. "But I had to ask before I run out of time." Silence stretched between them. The storm howled outside, as if urging him to decide. Marcus looked at Lily, who was watching him with quiet anticipation. Then he thought about his empty apartment. His late wife. The years spent drowning in work rather than living. "I'll do it," he said. Amanda gasped softly. Not disbelief. Relief so profound it softened every line of pain in her face. Lily slid off her mother's lap and wrapped her tiny arms around Marcus. "Thank you," she whispered. He hugged her back, feeling something in his chest unlock. The following weeks blurred into a rhythm Marcus had never known. Court filings, medical appointments, school meetings, and in the middle of it all, Lily's laughter echoing through hallways that once sat quiet. He had meetings in the mornings and hair braiding tutorials in the evenings. Late-night strategy calls interspersed with bedtime stories. Sometimes exhaustion hit him like a wave. But each time he faltered, Lily would slip her hand into his, anchoring him again. Amanda grew weaker. Her voice softened. Her breath shortened. But she remained present, teaching Marcus Lily's routines, her fears, her favorite songs, her bedtime rituals. "You'll be good at this," she murmured once, resting in her bed while Marcus folded laundry. "Better than you think." He swallowed. "I don't want to replace you." "You won't," she said. "She doesn't need a replacement. She needs a future." When Amanda passed away one quiet morning in May, the world seemed to dim. Lily cried into Marcus's chest. And for the first time in years, Marcus cried openly. Not only for Amanda, but for everything she endured, everything she'd fought for, and everything she'd entrusted to him. At the funeral, Marcus stood beside Lily as she placed a drawing. Her and her mother holding hands, on the casket. The pastor spoke of love, sacrifice, resilience. Lily's small voice whispered, "I love you, Mama," and Marcus gently squeezed her shoulder. 2 weeks later, the adoption was finalized. Lily Foster legally became Lily Callahan. Marcus hung the certificate in his office, next to the photo of his wedding day. 2 stories of love. 2 stories of loss. 2 stories that shaped the man he was becoming. Life shifted. Meetings were scheduled around school plays. Dinners involved spilled milk and laughter. His home filled with drawings, hair ribbons, homework sheets, and the sound of a childhood finally allowed to bloom. There were moments of struggle, tantrums, nightmares, questions about death and loss that no parent ever feels fully ready to answer. But there were victories too. Lily learning to ride a bike, winning a school art contest, proudly introducing Marcus as her dad. Years passed in a rhythm neither of them had expected, but both had learned to cherish. One winter evening when Lily was 10, they walked past the brownstone where he first found her. Snow glimmered on the stairs. Lily paused, looking at the spot where her life had changed. "Do you ever think about that night?" she asked. "All the time," Marcus replied. She smiled softly. "I think Mom knew what she was doing. She always said storms don't last forever." Marcus felt warmth unfold in his chest, not from the heater humming through the vents, but from the quiet truth in her words. Storms didn't last forever. But the people who held you through them, they mattered. They stayed. They saved you. And sometimes they became your family. But their story wasn't done, not yet. Because the world would eventually learn what Marcus had done for Lily. A man with power choosing compassion over convenience. Choosing responsibility over comfort. Choosing a child who needed him simply because it was right. Some people praised him. Others questioned him. But one person, the only one who truly mattered, held his hand on that snowy sidewalk and said the words that silenced every doubt. "You kept your promise to Mom." Marcus looked down at her. Strong. Brave. Growing into everything Amanda hoped she'd become. And he knew the next chapter of their lives was just beginning. Because sometimes, the greatest battles aren't fought against villains. Sometimes they're fought against silence. Against loneliness. Against a world that forgets the vulnerable. And sometimes, love wins anyway. What came next for Marcus and Lily would prove it. Because the storm that once threatened to swallow them had no idea who it was dealing with. Years later, Marcus often found himself slowing down whenever Lily's laughter filled their home, the sound warm and sure in a way that reminded him how far they had come. He didn't pretend the journey had been easy. There were nights when grief sat heavy on the edges of their routine, and mornings when responsibility felt larger than anything he had prepared for. But each challenge pushed him toward a version of himself he didn't know he had the strength to become. Lily, growing braver with each passing year, carried pieces of her mother with her. Kindness, patience, a quiet certainty about what matters. And Marcus discovered that caring for her hadn't just rebuilt his life. It had reshaped his understanding of what it meant to show up for someone, even when the path wasn't clear. Their story wasn't about grand gestures or dramatic victories. It was about persistence. Two people choosing day after day to move forward with honesty and heart. And as Lily stepped onto the stage for her first school debate, scanning the crowd until her eyes found his, Marcus realized something simple but powerful. Storms may change a life, but the courage to rebuild defines it. She lifted her hand in a small wave. Marcus answered with a smile. Steady, certain, filled with pride. If this journey touched you, please like, share, and subscribe to Canada's Heartfelt Tales.